Hey, this is Deepak here from digitaldeepak.com, and in this video I want to talk about setting up a sales team. If you are a coach, consultant or an agency owner, are you doing the sales yourself? If you are doing the sales yourself, then it is one of the things that can be emotionally taxing, because whenever you get on a sales call with a client, the client might close or might not close. As a business owner, you have so many things to take care of. You have to take care of the branding at the top of the funnel. You have to take care of lead generation. You have to take care of lead nurturing. And then once you sell a product or a service, you have to also deliver the product or a service, and you have to take care of the entire delivery part, customer satisfaction part. Out of all this, the first thing that you need to outsource is your sales process. So if you are getting a bunch of leads, you need remote closers to close them for you. And remote closers are basically people who will be working on only commission basis. They will be taking your leads, talking to them and closing the deals for you. On average, a remote closer can take 80 to 100 calls in a month, and they can do high ticket sales if it is like a one-on-one Zoom call. And if you are not increasing your prices and selling high ticket, you will anyway be struggling with your revenue. So first thing that I recommend is to design a high ticket product or service. Generate the leads through your personal brand, nurture the leads with the interaction that you have with the community, and then you go ahead and ask the remote closers to close for you. So how does this work? You have a remote closer who understands the product or service that you are selling, and you should have closed at least 5 to 10 deals yourself, so that the remote closer can have a look at it, and they should also have a conviction on the product or service that you are selling. So once they have a conviction that this is a good product for the customer, then you are going to go ahead and fill up the calendar of the remote closer. So that can be done by asking people to apply for your program. It can be done by sending out an email. It can be done by inviting people to a webinar and asking people to book a call with you. And once they book a call, this call will be taken by the remote closer. So Calendly is what we use for calendar booking. So once you have set up a Calendly link, and this is the calendar of the remote closer and not your calendar. So you ask people to go ahead and fill up a form and select a time slot and apply to have a consultation call with your team, and the remote closer will take these calls. So let's say out of 80 to 100 calls, even if minimum the remote closer is closing at 10%, you will be able to convert 8 to 10 high ticket clients every month with just sending out emails and just making sure that 80 to 100 calls are booked for the remote closer, and one remote closer is going to close 8 to 10 deals for you in a single month. So let's assume that your product or service is at least worth 1 lakh rupees, because if your product is just 20,000 rupees, then you are not going to have enough revenue to pay healthy commissions to the remote closer, right? So the general industry standard for remote closer commission ranges from 10,000 to 20,000 rupees for a 1 lakh product, which is 10 to 20%. So let's assume that in the middle you are going to pay 15,000 rupees for every sale that comes in at a 1 lakh price point. So if the remote closer is closing 8 to 10 deals for you in a month, then if it is 10 deals, they are going to make 1.5 lakh in commissions for you. A very good remote closer who has good training in sales and a level of patience, empathy with the customer, to have a 45-minute to 1 hour call with the customer to convince the prospect or the potential customer to pay 1 lakh, it's going to take a lot of time, and it's like a full-time job in itself, right? On average, on a working day, a remote closer can take 4 calls in a day, and if you assume that there are going to be 25 working days in a month, that's going to be 100 calls. Now, not all the people who book a call with you are going to show up on the call on time. So let's assume that 20% of the people who book the calls do not show up, and you are also going to cancel some appointments because they are not qualified. That is why it is important to have an application form when you are taking call bookings. So after the cancellations, let's assume that you have 100 call bookings, 80 people are going to show up, and if the closing ratio of the remote closer is going to be at least 10%, that is the industry standard. We have seen remote closers close even at 20%, sometimes 25%, 30%. So which means that if the closing ratio of a remote closer is 30%, then 1 out of 3 calls that they take, they are going to close it into a customer. That is going to be very high level of efficiency. You might even need to pay some incentives and bonuses for such a high performing remote closer. But let's say at least 10% is the closing ratio, which means that they are going to bring you 8 high ticket clients in a month. Now, these high ticket clients are not going to just fall into your lap directly. They need to trust you and trust your brand before they come and join your program. It could be a coaching program, it could be a high ticket agency service, it could be a consulting offer. Like, consulting offer for 1 lakh might be 3 months of consulting with 1 week, 1 call per week, something like that. So in another video, we will go into the mechanics of how do you design and deliver a high ticket product. But the first thing that you need to do if you want to increase your revenue is outsource your sales and do not sell yourself, because sales closers, remote closers are trained to do that. They can handle the rejection, and that is the only thing that they focus on. They will get on 4 calls in a day. They might not close any of the deals. They might get on another 4 calls the next day. They might not close any of the deals, and spending almost 8 hours talking to clients and not even converting a single person can be a little bit emotionally taxing, and that is what we train our remote closers for, right? So if you are doing this as a business owner yourself, then you will not be able to focus on top of the funnel branding, nurturing, and the delivery of the product. So you outsource this process to a remote closer. So right now we are also helping coaches and consultants and agency owners to find remote closers. We are running a batch called Remote Closing Mastery Program, and in this batch we are training people on how to do remote closing for other experts. So that's it. I wanted to share this thought in this video, and we will be working more on this area of remote closing, where we are training a lot of remote closers, and we will be helping coaches, consultants, and agency owners find high performing remote closers for their business. We are able to do this because in the past 2 years we have made more than 3 crores in revenue with our high ticket mastermind program Alpha Club, and I have not sold a single unit of it. Yes, I did sell 2, but that's because they knew me already. They kind of trusted me already. I just told them to join and they joined. It was just a 10-minute phone call. But most of the audience who are like a little bit warm audience, not really hot audience, little bit warm audience who have been on my email list, who have been following me on YouTube for a while, all those clients have been converted by our remote closing team. So right now we have 2 full-time remote closers working for us, and you can do the math how many sales calls they can do in a month. And these remote closers also need constant training, review, and feedback. So we take a look at their calls, we figure out what mistakes they are making, and we tell them, hey, this is how you have to do it. So it also needs a little bit of management, which is something that you need to develop yourself. So even if you have just 2 remote closers working for you full time, they can bring in a revenue of 10 to 20 lakh easily every month. But you need to make sure that you are doing the process of lead generation and lead nurturing properly. So that's it for this video. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment below, and I will make further videos based on your questions. Thank you and bye-bye.